Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Ultimate Hunting. We got Devlog 5 and it goes over all the sounds that are going to be in the game. Well, not all the sounds, but it goes over some of the sounds, and we're talking about different sound profiles and all the different noises in the game, basically, is how it's going down. A little bit of a hiccup. The demo is not set. We don't have a demo date just yet, but let's keep our fingers crossed and let's stay hopeful that it does happen this year, maybe sometime around the end of the year, early next year. But until we hear about something from the developers, in terms of the demo, that's pretty much where we're at. And we're going to be bringing news in the future. Just keep in mind that is pretty much where we're at. Let's go ahead and get in the video. Before we do, drop a like on it, push this thing out to more people. I'm going to give you a full breakdown, try and get all my thoughts in a cohesive manner to you, and go over everything we have seen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, of course, the demo is going to be in Africa, and they really wanted to push that the map is going to feel very alive. It's going to react to you. It's going to have its own breath and its own kind of ambiance, right? That's what we're looking for in a game, to kind of feel like we're in it. So that's what they want to do. Deserts, savanna, riverbanks all have different sounds. They want the wind to carry the grains of sand, basically give you that whole immersive feeling, insects buzzing, and really build up the tension with more so the sound profiles of everything around you rather than, like a suspenseful music. So that's pretty cool. They really want to get into, what really makes a hunting game, all the things that make it alive. And you can really do that with sound. You can make different bugs, you can make different crunches, different gear, moving around, different little things like that. And we're talking about trailers even moving, right? We'll get into that. We're hearing all sorts of different sounds. So that's pretty cool that they're doing that. The first thing they jump into is the waterfall. I think it's important to remember it's a very much in development still, and it looks like the map they're using is a development map for testing things out, like animal animations, sounds, features they want to try and put in the game. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as I would think, but it still looks pretty good. I like the water little like pooling down here, looks really good. Waterfall, it's not massively impressive, but it's still decent. And the art style of this game is going to be something different than what we've seen, because they're trying to get very realistic. So you're not going to have all these super vibrant colors. It's going to be kind of toned down a little bit, earthy tones. You're not going to have like all these Fortnite colors popping out at you. I kind of respect that. I like that a lot. The only thing I don't like in games is when they make it way too foggy. Give us clarity, because that's that's what I pay for. I don't want a massive amount of fog to cover up what's 50 feet in front of me. I would like to be able to see more. So that's the only thing I have there. The sounds sound great. Water splashing and all that sounds great. I am gonna go ahead and kind of be quiet for a minute so you can get what you think about this. You can check all these videos out on their YouTube under the development playlist. So check that out if you want like more of a raw take without me yapping away in your ear. Yeah, I mean, all the sound profiles are pretty awesome. You can hear your footsteps in the water. That's pretty good. And then you got the little mission indicator up there, kind of where I said it was gonna be. Get to the village. That might be our first mission. Get to the village. What we know, we're getting a little bit of an insight on what the devs are thinking. This is pretty cool. Stance indicator, wind indicator, very awesome. Little compass up there. Very, very cool. Now, the next video we're going to get into down here is more like the ambient sound, like the bushes rustling, the leaves and stuff, right? Because like all those noises, even just dry branches breaking and cracking, that could mean something is over there, and that could also give animal notice that you are right here, right? So that can really come alive at night when everything is a little more quiet and the sounds become richer. They're really trying to push the sound profiles and really really make it kind of unsettling when it's quiet, because you want to kind of sneak around and know that it's loud, right? So you feel a little more able to do that during the day versus at night, because everything's on notice, right? So that's really cool that they're wanting to make that happen. I think they're gonna be able to do it. Now, some of these sounds are a mixed bag. I think as we get through here, you'll see some of them are hit, some of them are miss, and we'll talk about that as we go. Yeah, we got like all the different sounds of birds, of insects buzzing around. Very, very cool. Helps bring it to life. And you see in this one, we have another tutorial, which is go to Deegan and pick up the equipment. So, just getting kind of some insight into the game plan here of what we're going to be looking at. And then up in the top right corner, it looks like we're seeing a animal call. I think those are animal calls that we're seeing. And that's the scan for them. So we're getting like, it's a male, he's eating, and he's about 149 meters. I'd like to see that rounded, let's go like 195 to 180 or 580. Let's round it a little bit. I don't mind that it's so wide, but let's not be so precise. Let's round that up a little bit. But I like the layout of everything, the stance indicator, the weapon, all that. Looks really good. And yeah, I would just like to see the distance indicator rounded, I think, more than it is. But you can really get out there and see them too. They're way out there, 600 and some, 650 meters. That's pretty far out there. And I like what they decided to use for the indicator. It's not overbearing in your face, but it's still very visible. Like you can still see it very easy, but it's not gonna necessarily impede your vision. Kind of like Way of the Hunters. I don't necessarily like theirs. It's a little much sometimes. That's why you gotta turn off the hunter sense sometimes. So this one's pretty nice. I would be interested to see if there's different toggles for that to turn it off. That'd be the only thing I guess I would really want to kind of break into and see if there's anything like that to kind of make all this stuff go away, make it a little ultra realistic, right? But further down, the next one we're looking at is all the different surface noises. Now here's kind of where I could say, you could swap some of them out. The one that almost sounds like we're stepping on concrete, it's like slate. I think we could probably swap that one out for another one. Kind of note that. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about the sounds. Let me know what ones you would switch out, which ones you think could use some more work. But definitely some of these need some more work. Maybe the ones with like all the branches. Maybe make that one very, very hard to get through without branches breaking and all that, right? Obviously, because they're using like a procedural generated terrain here to kind of show you this. And each one has a sound connected to it. So that's pretty interesting. And I'd be interested to see how it reacts with you bumping into branches and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. But it definitely sounds like that's what they are going for. They want the sounds of mosquitoes. They want everything in this. Even when you like get close to animal droppings, they want flies to start buzzing, all that. So they really want to connect a lot of sounds in here and have a lot of different profiles and a lot of different interactions with sounds. It kind of drives home the whole point they're trying to make with, make the whole environment breathe. So again, they're kind of letting us know that we're only going to encounter the 3 species in the demo. We kind of known that, the blue wildebeest, the warthog, and the elephant is what we're going to be working with. So those are the big ones. So they're even saying like, the sounds from a wild boar and a domestic pig may seem similar, but they're not really reflecting the character of the tough African fighter if you use like a domestic pig sound. So they really want to drive home the authentic sounds. They're saying 50 different sounds for a blue wildebeest, but they want it to be a high quality sound for a blue wildebeest. You guys let me know what you think of the blue wildebeest sound in particular, just because that one we actually do get the call for. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of that. I don't know a whole lot about these critters, so I'd be curious to see what some of you out there that are, more familiar think about that sound in particular. I may note that one if I was working on it, just to kind of keep my feelers out there for anything that is, a little bit better. Obviously, you want the best product you can possibly have. Now, they do have a library that they pay for to get these sounds, and then some of them they do create from scratch. Obviously, that would be way more difficult and time consuming for a small team. So it makes it more complicated to do that. Mainly, some of these are going to be paid for sounds. I'm sure they're willing to take suggestions, even if you have like a company that can do it on the cheap even. That would probably be helpful. Send them that information in the Discord. There is a link down below. Now, another thing that's really top notch is this next thing we're going to get into is the Buck Fear 150 sound. Now, this thing is pretty slick. I really like how they did this. Each different ammo has a different sound they want it to feel like, right? They want it to really feel like what you're shooting is going to change. If you have different barrel tips, it's going to change. Like if you have a different compensator on there, if you have a suppressor on there, they want it to change the sound of it. And every rifle should have their own distinct sound, down to the small details, like the reloading clicks, all that, the breath control. They want all that stuff in there. The empty mag, everything. Whenever you're letting go of a spent round, everything. They want that all in there. So, the basic first person shooter stuff they want to have, that's pretty awesome. But each individual weapon having their own sound, awesome. This is what we want. They're checking all the boxes, right? That's kind of what we're going through here. But this is what I wanted to get into. Now they got a slider for this thing. So you can make your gunshot really sound powerful. Or you can sound like, you have kind of like some noise canceling headphones on more so. It's pretty cool. I think it's clean. I really like having sliders. So more sliders, the better. It's called a gunfire gain. And that's a pretty cool little slider there. I think that the audio for this was taken out of range though. And it does sound like we're getting some of the impact sound. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Overall, the audio sounds amazing. But you might need to do some audio work to kind of make it sound like it's not hitting there. I don't know. It just kind of sounds like it in this. Like I get that there's a reverb, but it sounds like it's thwacking at the end, right? That's like a hit. So that's kind of something that I would probably work with an audio engineer to taper out. Just let it fade out. But I like the sound. The bow sound, the only thing I have against this is maybe the thwack needs to be heard a little further out, right? So like with a bow, you can really hear it out there. I mean, even out to like 50 yards. If you're shooting wood like that, you're going to hear it because it's going to hit hard and your arrow is going to be buried also. So you're not getting that one back. Now, if you're hitting different things like a hay bale, different, right? It's not going to have that sound. But with this thing in particular, I feel like you should hear it pretty far. And then with other surfaces, you shouldn't hear it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how I feel about that one. Just needs a little bit of tweaking here and there for that. But it does have a cutoff, which is cool because you can hear when he backs up so far that it kind of is gone. There's not a thwack anymore. That's kind of what I'm thinking is happening there. So just extend that a little more. And I think that would be great. Really good audio there. Now the next one I think that definitely needs to be worked on. This one I can't even hide it. I want to be open and honest about it, but this car sound needs to go. There's one that I have that I'm gonna put in here, some audio that I have. I'm gonna try and find it real quick. Okay, now that versus this right here. I don't know. It doesn't sound terrible, but it sounds off from what the clip is, right? He's still going, but it sounds like it went down, and it sounds like almost like a futuristic car. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on it. Maybe it's just how the audio sounds all compressed, like the files are getting messed up. But something in that one right there just does not sound great. I'm not a fan. And I would definitely note that one to be swapped out with something different. Overall, the sounds are great. Just that car sound, not selling me on that one. I think they recognize that some of them need work and some of them need more subtle things about them to complete the whole experience. And they say that in here. You know, they're going to have trailers creaking, you know, all this different stuff, even down to your clothes rustling. So I feel like they have a really good game plan. I feel like they know kind of how to work this thing. There's so much when you're developing a game that you don't think about when you're a player, and I think that they have a good checklist of things that they want to mark off. I'm very impressed with what we've seen. Now I'm going to wrap up with something here. If you haven't played Ultimate Fishing, I'm not telling you to go play it, but what you should do is go in and check out some gameplay, because that's what this is going to feel like a lot. This is going to feel like a lot like Ultimate Fishing. Just the way I can see the menu working. If you can access your menu at any time like that, it's going to feel arcadey, but it's going to have a more realistic look. So it's going to be like a mix of Way the Hunter and Call of the Wild, I would think. And that might be the perfect bag for people. Go in and get a new experience every single time, but also be able to switch your gear out at any given time. Now, I'm not sure that that's going to be a thing. That's just what it looks like at the moment. It looks like you're going to be able to switch things around and go shopping and everything at will, at least for the demo. That's what it looks like. I don't know if that's going to be the complete build, but in this clip here with the Buck Fear, we do see the menu very quickly. And it's got shop, inventory, map, not available, which I'm guessing is probably going to be your lodge, your atlas, your settings, and then main menu, right? So that's the main menu. That's where you go back to the main screen and select a new map to go to. So your maps will be there and everything else is in here. But you see, going to the shop has all that stuff. You got the 416 Ridgeby, Cape Sleeper, and then the Buck Fear 150, and then the Sloth. So those are probably going to be the weapons we get. We got binoculars, 2 different sights in here, and you can see and swap it out real fast. So it's nothing really that new. But we have seen this before: caliber, barrel, scope, muzzle, paint, all that, all really good stuff. Now, I'm not sure how everything is going to work as far as the campaign and all the different missions, all the different NPCs, but that's kind of how the feel of the game, I would think, is going to be kind of a mix of Call of the Wild and Way of the Hunter. Way of the Hunter graphically, maybe so. Call of the Wild more play style on how you'll hop into a map all fresh, new animals, go around to your favorite spots and see what you got. I think that's pretty cool. Some people will like that, some people won't. Some people will prefer having, you know, like the herd management system and all that. And it'll be interesting to see how this game develops in the future. I think we got a really good team. I think it's important to remember that it's a small team. A passion project is going to, well, look like it. When the demo comes out, it may be pretty rough, but it's always good to keep an open mind and be just open and honest about what you like and what you don't like. And try not to get stuck in that camp of I'm just going to hate it because I don't like one thing, right? It's good to go back and forth and talk about, yeah, I don't like this, I do like that. And I think that this game, if and when it makes it out in its full capacity, will be a very special project. So hang in there. We have a long journey still, it looks like, just from what we got from Devlog 5. I hope to see more of this. This is really awesome information. Huge. Makes me very confident in the team seeing this kind of stuff. And I can't wait to see more. I think that we're going to see more in the future. Very impressive, guys. Thanks again for checking out the video. I think with that, we're going to get out of here. And as always, have a good day.